In the winter of 1914, the Western Front was a scar of mud, barbed wire, and broken men carved across the face of Europe. From the Belgian coast to the Swiss border, two armies, the British and the German, dug in, shivering in trenches that were little more than watery graves. The air was thick with the stink of cordite and decay, and the silence between the shelling was a tense, waiting thing. But as Christmas Eve deepened, a strange frost settled, and with it, an even stranger quiet. It began, as miracles often do, with a single, fragile sound. From the German trenches, a voice lifted into the cold, clear air. Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht. Silent night, holy night. Tommy Atkins, huddled in his dugout, his rifle cold in his hands, heard it. He didn't know the words, but he knew the tune. The melody, a ghost of Christmas past, drifted across the blasted wilderness of no man's land. It was followed by more carols. The British, emboldened, answered with the first Noel. Then came the lights. Candle lanterns, small and defiant, were hoisted above the German parapets, and a call in broken English, "Tommy, you no shoot, we no shoot." Dawn broke on Christmas Day over a scene that would be seared into the memory of every man who witnessed it. The war had paused. Tentatively, first with waves, then with cautious steps, soldiers from both sides climbed out of their trenches and met in the middle of no man's land. They were not enemies in that moment. They were simply men, young, cold, and far from home. They swapped gifts. A German soldier gave a British lieutenant a bottle of wine. A Tommy handed over a tin of bully beef. They showed each other photographs of sweethearts and families. They shared a common language of longing. They buried their dead, who had lain for weeks between the lines, and they stood together in a moment of shared silent prayer. And then, the moment that has passed into legend. Someone, somewhere, produced a leather ball. It wasn't a proper football, not by today's standards. Perhaps it was a ration crate stuffed with straw, or a real ball sent from home as a morale booster. The cry went up, "A football! Let's have a game!" This is the truth at the heart of the myth, the story I must tell you straight. There was no single, organized, 90-minute match with goals and referees and a cheering crowd. How could there be? The ground was frozen, pockmarked with shell craters, tangled with wire and the detritus of war. But there was a ball, and there was a kick. And for a glorious, chaotic hour in that narrow strip of hell, men forgot. They forgot the Kaiser and the King. They forgot the propaganda that painted the other as a monster. They forgot everything but the simple, primal joy of a ball at their feet. There were kicks and scuffles, laughs and shouts in two languages. Men in gray greatcoats and men in khaki tunics slipped and stumbled together on the icy mud. It wasn't a game of sides. It was a celebration of movement, a brief, beautiful rebellion against the stillness of death. A British soldier might boot the ball toward a cluster of Germans who would kick it merrily back. It was a pantomime of a match, a profound piece of theater where the only goal was to keep the game alive. It was the most important game never played, because the victory wasn't in the score. Nobody remembers or even knew a score. The victory was in the act itself. For those few hours, the football was a symbol of everything they had left behind. Village greens, public houses, the shouts of boyhood friends. It was a memory of a normal world, a world without terror. But the sun began to sink, and the cold bit deeper. The magic, like all magic, could not last. The men slowly drifted back to their respective lines. with handshakes and promises to see you tomorrow. And tomorrow came. A lone rifle shot cracked the morning air, then another, then the thunderous roar of artillery returned. The war had remembered itself. The high commands on both sides were furious. Orders were issued forbidding such fraternization ever again. For the rest of the war, Christmas would be marked with increased shelling to ensure the truce could not be repeated. The men who had sung and laughed and kicked a ball together were now once more aiming their rifles at each other's hearts. But they never forgot. They carried the memory of that Christmas day like a secret flame, a testament to a humanity that no war could completely extinguish. The football that was never part of a real match became the most powerful symbol of all. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was a fleeting, glorious proof that even in the darkest of times, the desire for peace, for play, for a simple game could, for one day, stop a war. And that, perhaps, is the greatest story ever told.